Super Bowl Sunday is up and done, but before we had the Super Bowl, we had UFC 312 as AJ just walks off the screen. What a way to start the episode. Um, UFC 312 in Sydney, Australia. One of the, I don't want to say most lackluster pay-per-views in a while, but as far as um, as far as card value, name value, on top to bottom. Yo, you're crazy. This is crazy. There's no way. All right, so just for context, AJ is a Clemson fan. I'm a Duke basketball fan, and Clemson, by way of wet floor, had a victory over the number two team, over Duke, and on the potential game-winning play, Cooper Flag slipped, and
As he always does in the clutch.
Clemson, as he always does, he's only the player of the year, the national player of the year. He's going to be. But yeah, he
I believe
sucks.
the player of the year, his name is Ian Shefflin.
I believe he's not even going to get drafted.
Hey, he beat Duke.
Right, yeah.
Well, that matters.
Listen.
Oh, yeah, didn't 312 happen too this week? Something like that.
It's something like that, yeah. Just something like not like it was a pay-per-view or anything. But yeah, that being said, if we're going to talk a little bit of basketball first, I cannot wait. I just all this game did was make me want to see y'all in the ACC tournament. I cannot wait for that game. I think I cannot wait. I will be ready for that. I want all the smoke with y'all in the ACC tournament. I cannot wait. You can have your win at home. You can gloat about it all you need, but
best team in the ACC. We run it. We run the ACC football, basketball, baseball, any sport. Clemson stays on top, baby.
Right, yeah. No, it's a good win. Y'all played well. I will say Duke's bench only had 6 points, and that's never gonna happen again. So enjoy it while it lasts. But yeah, all credit where credit is due. Y'all played well. Your offense was awesome, especially in the second half, and I can't hate. Y'all played well.
Oh yeah. Also, little side note, you guys are also looking at the BCM Wing Eating Champion.
Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday. We spent the Super Bowl watching it together, and there was a wing eating contest during halftime, and AJ, our boy AJ, crushed it. We'll just say that.
Easy win. Let me change that back to the Eagles colors for the Eagles fans.
Yeah, shout out to Philly. Philly is probably being taken off the map right now. It's probably burning.
That's gone. Philly doesn't
exist out of celebration.
Yeah, it's gone.
From the Eagles winning. Shout out to Jalen Hurts, OU.
Shout out Cooper DeJean.
White boy of the century. Pick 6.
White boy of the century. Yep. But this is a UFC podcast, so let's get into it.
Yeah, 312. As I was saying before, you very rudely interrupted me with your.
Oh no, that was justified. That had to happen.
With your antics and
all of that.
Yeah, do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to do.
Lay this out. Oh yeah.
I would hope you do this when you beat Duke. I mean, it's warranted. That's how much respect we deserve.
We're basketball school now.
Oh yeah, Dabo didn't do it for you.
Basketball and we're both. We're still both.
But yeah, on to the fights. That being said, 312 Dracus in the main event dominates Sean Strickland. I personally had it 5-0. One of the judges had it 4-1. Doesn't really matter though. Beginning to end, it was all Dracus, and it was all in the striking department for the most part. I, going into this, thought that DDP was going to up the wrestling a little bit, be a little bit more assertive on that, and boy, was I wrong. He was able to land the harder shots on Strickland. He broke Strickland's nose in, I believe, round 4. And from then on, it was coasting for DDP. He was able to manage the distance well. Sean, to me, just never really got started. He was throwing the jabs as he always does, but he never really landed anything too significant. There was a few right hands that went through occasionally, but it just kind of seemed like DDP was always one step ahead of him in that fight, and that's how I saw it.
Yeah. So this card was so unbelievably not good that I actually did not even take off work for it. Shout out MMA Guru. I listened to his exquisite, great commentary during this. I was able to catch the 4th and 5th round though when I got off work. I just so happened I spent $80 right when I got off work, and I bought the card. That's what I did.
Did you actually?
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, and from what I saw and from what I heard, I mean, Dricus was just controlling it, man. Like, he left no doubt this time. He didn't want it to be another close one. People say he lost. No, man, that was easy 5-0 Dricus. I mean, if you give Strickland one round, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, one of the judges did, and there was, I mean, a lot of what the commentary was saying during the early rounds, especially, was that these rounds were somewhat close, but it just seemed like DDP was just a little bit ahead of Strickland, and I completely agreed. I mean, there weren't any 10-8 rounds here. Like, I'm not saying Drake's absolutely dog-washed Strickland at times, but he was just ahead, and especially now Drake is being the champion and Sean being the challenger, Sean just didn't do enough to sway the judges to give him any rounds. And I mean, the output from Drakus was there. He was always on the front foot for the most part. Even whenever Sean was trying to bring pressure, Drakus had all the answers for it. And even he landed that one takedown. So it was easy work for Drakus, I think. And now this rivalry is closed. We will not see this fight again unless something crazy happens. And now it sets the scene for one
Alex Pereira.
No.
Oh, yes.
The idea of that's fun. The Pereira call, it's like, it's fun. It's cool. I wouldn't complain about it, but I would complain about it. The fight to make is Khamzat.
Izzy's next for his title, as he should be.
Right.
I wish. No, Khamzat is next. And actually, I'm excited. I'm a big Khamzat fan. I think he's actually a good, really one of the most entertaining fighters. I'm super excited to see Khamzat finally get his title shot after 18 years. He's supposed to be triple champ by now, but it's okay.
Yeah, I guess the main question when it comes to Khamzat versus DDP is just when. Because with Khamzat, we never know when he's going to be able to fight. His availability to come into the United States is questionable. So it's seeming like we might have to wait roughly 8 months for that Abu Dhabi October card. And that just brings up the question, will Drakus want to wait that long? I mean, he didn't take too much damage in this fight. He didn't at least speak of any injuries that he had as far as whether they happened in the fight or in camp. So seemingly Drakus is healthy and didn't take too much damage. The question is he going to want to wait that long for Khamzat in Abu Dhabi? It's a giant fight. It's going to sell. It could easily be the main event in Abu Dhabi. But I mean, if Drakus doesn't want to wait, then Nasruddin Imavov is right there, just as deserving as Khamzat. And
no, he's not.
He is. A win over Izzy is just as big as a win over.
A win over already on a losing streak, Izzy, bro.
Says the guy who is just bummed as hell that Izzy lost.
Arguably, Izzy deserves it before Imavov.
Right. No, as far as it's good that you bring up Izzy though, because as far as what's next for Sean Strickland, I could not think of a better return fight for both of them than that rematch. I mean, Izzy.
Really?
Yeah, I think Izzy
after last episode saying Izzy versus Shara. Switching
Izzy
up.
versus Shara would be fun, and I'm so down for that. But with Strickland losing dominantly to Drakus, and now seemingly Izzy and Strickland are both not in the title picture at this moment, Izzy's still a big name. He still warrants main event bookings, and he's gonna bring eyes no matter what. So he's always gonna be put in these big spots, which means that he has to have big opponents. So if Izzy's gonna keep doing this, it's gonna be against high level guys. And Strickland now coming off of a loss, he's lost twice to Drakus. I mean, Izzy's wanted that rematch ever since the first fight. He's talked about it. He even on one of the UFC card breakdowns he did with Whitaker there, Whitaker was like, "Yeah, I hadn't fought Strickland yet," and Izzy was like, "Nah, leave that to me." He wants that one back. He knows he didn't show up to that fight, and I think it's the easy. I think it's the easiest way to go if you're the UFC.
Really? I mean, I would like to see it. Unfortunately, I don't think Izzy would win. I'd like to give him someone that he can win against, so he doesn't keep on his losing streak. For Strickland, the route I would go, I haven't seen anyone say this. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy for thinking this, but I mean, like, dude, Strickland versus Whitaker is kind of right there. Both coming off dominant losses.
They haven't fought each other yet either.
Haven't fought each other yet. Are still kind of right there at the top of middleweight. I think that's a fight to do. I don't know. I just think that'd be a good fight. Haven't fought yet. Like I said, both lost dominantly. Yeah, man. I just think that's a good fight. I'd like to see that fight. I haven't seen anybody talk about that, so I didn't know if I was just crazy for thinking that.
I think with sort of the new sort of friendship with Izzy and Whitaker, and obviously the storyline that Izzy has with Sean Strickland, they already have something built in with that as far as the UFC goes and how they can market it. I mean, yes, Whitaker and Strickland have not fought each other. It would be an awesome fight stylistically, but I think if you're the UFC, I think that Adesanya fight with Strickland is a little bit more tempting just because there's already a built-in storyline to it, and it's really easy to market. So that's what I would
you can go
say.
either way.
Yeah, you could go either way. I would not
Go either way.
It.
Next fight. Listen to this one. It was, I mean, bro, who thought Tatiana Suarez was going to win? Oh, yeah, that's right. Preston did. Oh, yeah, that's right. Rough week for Preston in the sports world.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, Zhang Weili, greatest strawweight of all time.
I think you definitely could call her that now. Obviously, I think the discussion is between her, Joanna, who she beat twice, and then Rose, who she lost to twice. So really for me, it comes down to Rose and Weili. But yeah, I have no problem with thinking that Zhang Weili is the greatest strawweight of all time. I mean, the resume she's built up is unmatched, and with the Rose losses, those were so long ago now, and she's now up a division. And yeah, taking out Tatiana Suarez like this, giving out her first loss ever in MMA. The biggest question mark, although I did pick Tatiana Suarez, was just how she would look coming off of a layoff. She's had a lot of injury history in her MMA career, hasn't been able to stay all that active at times.
Not with cancer.
Shout out to her. She beat cancer, and just her getting to this point and getting a UFC title shot is super cool as is after beating cancer and everything. So, I mean, still shout out to Tati. She went out there, she fought her best, but
won a round, won the first round.
Won the first round, but I was painfully wrong about this. I thought that Suarez's wrestling was going to be the difference. I thought the pedigree of wrestling in MMA was just going to be higher than Zhang Weili's, but outside of that first round, Weili dominated in every facet of the game. She out-grappled Tatiana Suarez. She out-wrestled Tatiana Suarez. And obviously, the striking is night and day. After that first round, it seemed like Tatiana Suarez was running out of gas a little bit. She may have tired herself out quickly after that first round. And along with the cut on her knee, she seemed a little tentative to move forward and shoot at times. Um, but yeah, in the striking, Suarez just didn't offer anything, any danger at all to Zhang Weili. And Weili was able to take advantage of that, land big strikes, some huge right hands that almost dropped Suarez, and was completely in control from rounds 2 to 5. And it was just your another typical dominant Zhang Weili decision. And she's running out of options at strawweight now.
Maybe she moves up a weight class, becomes double champ.
I think that is the clear-cut best option for her right now. If you're the UFC and for her, she actually Dana even mentioned it at the post-fight press conference that Weili and her team were waiting for him to get done with the press conference because they were wanting to talk to him about what she wanted to do, and it seems very evident that a move up to flyweight is in the near future, and we could see Valentina versus Zhang Weili, which is fascinating stylistically. I would be so excited for that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I mean, there's like I said, there's really no one else for to fight in the strawweight division. I mean, I think she pretty dominantly beats everyone else. Kind of like I said in the predictions. I mean, I've just seen her walk through everybody. I'm going to continue to pick her in all of her fights until I see her not dominate an opponent and until I see her lose. Basically, I mean, she's on a whole different level of women's MMA. I mean, easily top 2 most interesting women MMA fighters to watch. I just couldn't believe how, like, I'd picked Zhang Weili to win, but I mean, even when Tatiana Suarez was getting the takedowns, it's like she was just getting reversed so easily, and Zhang Weili would just find a way on top, and that was just crazy to me. I went back and watched the fight after, and then a lot of the takedown defense too was Tatiana Suarez. Like, it's just like she couldn't take her down at times, and that was just crazy to me that this great, crazy, undefeated wrestler who had dominated and mauled everybody, was having trouble taking down or staying in good position on the ground with Zhang Weili. And if I could have, I would have slammed. I could not believe Zhang Weili was the
betting underdog.
Someone who's that dominant in the division. I cannot believe I would have slammed that. I would have bet the house on that. Yeah, man. Shout out Zhang Weili. Move up a division. Tatiana Suarez. I don't know what's next for her.
I mean, there's a lot of options at strawweight as far as contenders go. I mean, Mackenzie Dern's always out there. There's a lot of other contenders that could be available for Tatiana Suarez, but I think as far as Suarez goes, I think for her, it's time to just kind of hit the reset button a little bit, take some time off, and really work on becoming a little bit more well-rounded. I think in this Weili fight, it really showed how limited she looked on the feet. I mean, there just wasn't anything being offered to Weili that could be dangerous on the feet. And without being able to mask your wrestling with your striking, you just kind of become predictable. And that's what happened in this fight to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. She made Suarez look like a one-dimension fighter. And I mean, also one thing I wanted to highlight was that arm triangle that Zhang Weili had in. That was pretty tight.
Yeah, if she would have gotten those hips over, if she would have gotten her hips over on that, it would have been lights out for Tatiana Suarez.
Yeah, but still, shout out Suarez for getting out of that, though. That's pretty crazy that she got out of that. And that is the video. That is it. It's wraps. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Justin Tafa. Welcome to the GFL, buddy. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, not the best showing from Tafa. I don't know if you saw clips from the fight or if you were watching it.
Oh, yeah, all 30 seconds of it. Yeah.
Yeah, all 30 seconds. This is a heavyweight fight, and these are the biggest dudes on the roster, but Taliesin Teixeira looked like a super heavyweight compared to Justin Tafa. I mean, the size difference was crazy. I think Teixeira had 6 inches of height on him, and it looked like a 205er against a heavyweight. I mean, it was wild. And then obviously the fight didn't last long. Up against the fence, Teixeira landed a mean elbow, put Tafa down, and that was it. And, with these heavyweight brawler sort of fights, a 35-second knockout is kind of just what you expect. And
Yeah.
Tafa this time wasn't on the right end of it.
I can respect a heavyweight that is going to get us through the card faster, finish it early, so we don't have to sit through a lame, boring. I said this on the last one, 311, when Almeida did it. I respect the heavyweight that does not make us sit through a lame, boring, old fat blob fest. So shout out to Teixeira, man, getting us through that card, getting us to the main event quicker. I respect that. Genuinely for Tafa, like, bro, if Rosenstruck is cut, this man, like, send him to the GFL. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, he's always fun in the Australian market. They like him out there. He gets a big pop at times, but I mean, not good for Justin Tafa. 7-5. We'll see what happens if he remains on the roster.
Taliesin Teixeira, man, 8-0 now. Up and coming guy.
Yeah, interesting to see who they might book him with next. I think I feel like at this point they might give him someone who has a little bit more UFC experience, and
give him Shamil. Let Shamil deal with him.
I would say honestly, give him another Aussie if you're gonna keep Tai Tuivasa on the roster.
Let him end his career too, bro.
No, I mean I don't know if he would end his career, but I think it's the right step up in competition. I mean, Tai Tuivasa's been up at the top of the heavyweight division, has come back down with his losing streak now. Needs a fight. I mean, he's still on the roster, so I mean, I could see Tai Tuivasa versus Taliesin Teixeira as a realistic booking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. I'm not mad at it. I mean, it's Taliesin Teixeira, man. What gonna say? Yeah, a draw on the main card. Oh
Jimmy
yeah,
Crute. This is Jimmy Crute's.
That's
This
what we're
is
talking about.
Yeah, this is Jimmy Crute's second draw in his last 3 fights.
Bro cannot escape it, bro.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, he looked awesome in the first round, but he was able to land really good shots. But after that, it just seemed like he tired himself out in that first round. I think he let all of himself go, and Bellato was able to just slowly but surely land more shots and win round and bank the rounds. I mean, it really just seemed like a flip of momentum from that first round to rounds 2 and 3, but the rounds were still close enough to where, as far as 2 and 3 go, that Jimmy was competing there. He had moments, but yeah, I mean, I completely expected a draw here. I don't say that often, but once the scorecards were getting ready to be announced by Bruce, I was like, yeah, this very easily could be a draw. I mean, with how dominant the first round was by Jimmy, and then the last two not looking very good for him, I personally thought round 1 could have been a 10-8, and then the other two went to Bellato, and that's a draw. So
yeah, I mean, hey, I didn't watch it. I listened to it. I'm a good old MMA guru. Shout out the commentary, was good. But yeah, man, not much to say. I mean, what do you expect out of this type of card? Draw on the main card.
yeah, another Aussie, Jake Matthews gets a good decision win over Francisco Prado, and Jake Matthews sneaky 21 fights in the UFC now. He doesn't feel like one of those guys that's like an older seasoned veteran or anything, but he's got a lot of experience, and I think that showed it on Saturday night against Prado.
Yeah. Yeah. I just have to agree. I mean, I did. I go back. I did watch a lot of them. And I mean, I just thought it was clear Jake Matthews win. This
Yeah,
guy, yeah, man. See ya from the UFC. No,
all three
playing.
rounds, Jake was able to just land the cleaner shots. He was dictating where the fight went for the most part, and I mean, it was just a good, hard fought win. Fought 3 rounds, and obviously all three were won by Jake. So it's a good
Shout
win
out
for him.
Jake.
He did what he was supposed to do.
Welterweight, looking good.
Yeah, I mean, he called out Neil Magny after the fact, and Anthony Smith was not happy with him calling out Neil Magny. Anthony Smith on the post show was like, let Neil Magny fight guys his age and let him have a good end of his career, make some money, and stop feeding Neil Magny to these younger guys. He thought it was offensive that Jake, who's still a little bit younger, called out the older guy, Neil Magny. But as far as him moving up in 170, it is a logical matchup. I mean, Neil Magny is put in that spot where he's a gatekeeper. And for a lot of welterweights on their rise up, they have had to fight Neil Magny to
You
move
gotta
on the
pass the Neil
rankings.
Magny test. Gotta pass the Neil Magny test.
Got to.
So yeah, man, that was the main card. It happened. It certainly was a UFC event of all time.
A pay-per-view of all time.
There was some okay fights on the preliminary card. Unfortunately, my boy Jack Jenkins got submitted by Santos. This random.
Yeah, Charles Oliveira in the corner of Gabriel Santos. Submission
Whatever,
in the
man.
third
So
round.
sad. So especially since Jack Jenkins got out of the first one and it was so hype and like the crowd was feeling it, man.
The crowd was in it whenever he
he got out of that
they were
first one
hyped.
and then man, poor Jack Jenkins, man. I love Jack Jenkins. He's a fun guy.
He is.
A
Sleeper. One of the banger fights on that card was Wang Kong against Bruno Brazil. I mean,
shout out Zhang Wei Li, 2 wins on the night. No, I'm playing.
That's crazy.
I'm playing. This was a good fight though. It actually was a banger.
Yeah, that was a banger. I mean, Wang Chang put on pretty much a masterclass in the striking. She was landing really powerful shots, and Bruno Brazil didn't have anything for it. And Wang Chang had a lot of pop on her shots. I mean, she hits hard for that weight class. So interesting to see where she'll go next. But I think the highlight of the prelims was the older brother fighting at 135 of Ilia Topuria, fighting the UFC newcomer Colby Thickness, Alessandre Pantoja, or not Pantoja, I got the name mixed up. Alessandre Topuria gets a win in his UFC debut, and he looked clean. It was crazy watching that, seeing his stance. His stance and just the way he moved. It looked exactly like Ilia. It was weird to watch.
Bro, and Merab was in his corner too, no?
I think Merab was there. I don't know if Merab was in the corner because I
seen the picture after the fight. Like, I don't know why that picture was so funny to me. It was like Volk, Thickness, Merab, Ilia, and Topuria. That picture was just so funny to me.
Yeah, a lot of history in that picture. A lot of obviously with Volk and Ilia and everything they've been through. Yeah, Colby Thickness, he took this fight on 2 weeks' notice. He's a longtime training partner of Alex Volkanovski, and it was kind of cool after the fight. Backstage, there was clips that came out of Topuria talking about how he wants to help Colby Thickness earn his way back to the UFC. So that was a cool little sportsmanship moment. And with Volk and Ilia in the corners, it seems like they've got just a tremendous amount of respect for each other. We'll see if a second fight happens between them, potentially in Miami. We will see, though. And as far as 312 goes, that was probably the biggest highlight of the prelims for me.
Well, before there was this fight, probably the best fight on the card.
Definitely, yeah. Cody Steele.
This was a war.
Yeah, these two went to war. I mean,
Rongju, Cody Steele, banger. Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, 3 finishes on the night. Two of them knockouts within the first 5 seconds. So gotta respect the dudes that are gonna keep it moving. They know what we're here for.
That first fight of the night, the 19-second knockout. How did you feel about the stoppage?
Yeah, I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, okay.
I was fine with it.
It wasn't the worst stoppage I've seen. Like definitely, Izzy versus Imavov was a stoppage, but it wasn't bad. Like I'm not mad at it, but
that was just as good of a stoppage as Izzy versus Imavov.
No, the Izzy was still up on that one.
Right.
But that is it. 312.
And actually, speaking of Izzy, it was cool to see, especially after the rough week that he had at UFC Saudi Arabia. Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum, their co-main event of UFC 236 in Atlanta. It was put into the UFC Hall of Fame Fight Wing on Saturday night, and after such a down week and down weekend for Izzy with the loss against Imavov and people talking about him needing to retire and things of that nature, it was really cool to see Izzy back down under. He's in Australia. He's a New Zealand guy, but he still gets love wherever. And it was cool to see him get such a good reception from the crowd and have maybe the greatest co-main event of all time be put into the Hall of Fame. And another cool part of it was those clips that came out of him FaceTiming Gastelum in the back, which just talking it over. So that was really cool to see years after that war.
People forget Shevchenko versus Grosso at the Sphere, man. People forget,
greatest co-main.
It's got some competition. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Shout out Izzy. We'll be in the Hall of Fame by himself one day. Love to see anything good come to Izzy's way. One of my favorite fighters. So I like seeing that. I'm glad they did that. And then him buddying it up with Pereira.
Yeah, Pereira and head coach Paulinho Cruz actually asked him if they want to train. Pereira was saying that I have a lot that I can show you. You have a lot that you can show me. We should train soon. And Izzy seemed down for it. So
sorry,
a few weeks ago, we got
training with Izzy will not save you from Big Ink. Sorry, bro.
We'll see in March. We got 4 weeks to go.
Yeah, we've got a couple fight nights. Yeah, that one, and then we got Cejudo and Song Yadong, the card.
Seattle card.
Not really anymore. Dom Cruz not on it, but hey, we got a fighting nerd. Shout out Gene Silva, and then we got Royval versus Manel Kape. Banger.
Royval actually pulled out.
Oh well, never mind.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name that replaced him, but Manel Kape does have a replacement opponent. I'm blanking on who it was right now, but I'll look it up. But yeah, next episode we will break down the UFC Fight Night coming up this weekend with Jared Cannonier.
We're just so excited to break down a Jared Cannonier Fight Night. We are ready.
It's a big month for middleweight. I mean, there's a lot going on in middleweight with Izzy had just happened, and then the title fight, and now Cannonier, who's been a certified guy at middleweight for years now. I mean,
one of the UFC fighters of all time. What a guy! Excited though. Can never complain when UFC's on. So
absolutely not. We will not take any cards for granted.
Yep.
And
so yeah, that was.
And these fight night cards. These fight night cards are the cards that there are names on there that a lot of the casual fans may not know, but I mean, a lot of these fight night cards in the Apex can sometimes produce some crazy highlights. So hopefully we'll see some of those this upcoming weekend. And Manel Kape's new opponent, as I was just talking about, is not Royval pulled out, obviously. His name is, I hope I pronounce this right, Asu Almabayev.
Oh yeah. Watch out, Manel Kape. You're cooked, buddy.
And knowing you, AJ, if any fighter has the last name ending with either OV or EV, you're in.
Hey, I don't know. Manel Kape's a cool guy. Actually, no. Fuck you, Manel Kape. He beefs with Izzy.
That's
Actually, yeah,
crazy.
Manel
Just a
Kape, you're
straight
gonna
up
get
F you.
dominated.
He did beef with Izzy. I mean, him and Kai Car France still have beef.
Even when he won his fight night, his last fight at Tampa, he called out Izzy again.
Yeah, and Izzy just chuckled at it on the reaction video. It was very funny.
Little shit boy. Yeah, I know. We're rooting against Manel Kape.
You are rooting against Manel Kape.
Maybe
All right,
he
but
wins and I get to see him get dominated by Pantoja.
we'll just TBD.
We'll see. 312.
We'll see, but
give it a
4 out of 10.
Out of 10. It happened out of 10.
4 out of 10 card.
Yeah, carried by. I mean, even the main event, it was just a domination. So carried by one fight. But yeah.
Yep. Next episode, we will break down UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez. Stay tuned.